This is absolutely Essendon, the Bombers YouTube fan channel that's been through enough pain to qualify for danger money. And Friday night, we were bracing for a full-blown Geelong slaughter. Our injury list looks like the credits of a Marvel movie, and the Cats were licking their lips. The bookies gave us less chance than a vegan at a sausage sizzle. But somehow, the boys, they didn't roll over. Like we scraped, we clawed, we kind of made them earn it. It was no fairy tale, but not the bloodbath that we expected. So let's get in to it. I don't know what happened there. Just go, start the music. Alrighty, yes, welcome back. This episode coming out maybe just a little late. This is the Geelong game review. What round are we at? Round 22. It's all become a blur, has it not? But once again, what can we say? It was a slow start against the Cats. We kind of seen that movie before, and once again, the third quarter was something to get inspired about by the Dons. They put up a bit of a fight. The Cats came back, but at least they recouped, because in that first quarter, by the end of the first quarter, we're all thinking like, is this going to be a 100-point loss or a 120-point loss? DT, were your thoughts similar to that?
Oh yeah, my thoughts were similar, and I got to tell you, I was a little bit nervous in that third quarter to the point. And if you'd watched last week's episode, those who
Yes.
did understand why.
Well, no, let me just explain for
All
those
right, maybe if you
that
want to.
maybe skipped an episode, because not everyone is as diligent. DT threatened to do this episode naked should the Dons get up. And in that third quarter, I was wondering whether, maybe you started doing some push-ups in preparation, or a
No,
push-up.
I did do some body waxing though, just in
Yeah. I,
anticipation
I
of
reckon you
bearing
would have
up.
been just calling out to the good
Yep.
lady, Dale, start heating up the wax.
Yeah, particularly around the nipple area, just get rid of some of that hair, because you want to look nice and smooth when you go all au natural. But anyway,
Well,
it didn't
I,
happen. But
I,
for
dread,
a
I
little,
dread to think. I mean, YouTube has given us a hard time for showing, just the smallest AFL clip. I dread to think what grief we could
trust
have
me,
copped
my
with.
nipples are not copyright protected, so we're all good. We'll be able to monetize them. In fact, an OnlyFans channel could be on the go. I tell you what, the way the Bombers are going, that could be more lucrative for us than this gig.
Yeah, that
But
makes sense.
anyway, look, back to the serious point here, the game. And I got to tell you, they were pretty impressive, the Bombers, despite all the injuries, despite the odds, despite, I guess the bravado of the Cats on their home deck. I thought we did all right.
Look, impressive, maybe just little sauce on the pie. But you know what? They played with a lot of vigor. I think, a lot of heart. I mean, look, let's face it, that first quarter, second quarter, those intercept marks by Geelong, come on. There was
Yeah.
like, it was relentless. It was stomach churning stuff. Uh,
Right. But, I'll take that because what that meant is that we were getting the ball and we were getting it into our forward 50. Now, we know our inside 50 efficiency has been pretty bad for a while now. But look, getting the ball in the first place, moving it forward into the F50, they're all positive. So, yes, of course, Geelong are one of the best intercepting teams, probably one of the best defensive teams in the competition,
yeah.
if not the best. So, yeah, our mistake was, young team, possibly under a little pressure, bang the ball along without really thinking about it. But when they did get going in that third quarter, you could see they were lowering the eyes and looking for options, and it worked. And they moved the ball quickly. And again, moving the ball quickly is really so important. And I think we kicked 5 goals in that third quarter. And had it not been for a little bit of a sort of a drop off towards the end when I think they scored two, we
Yeah.
would have won that quarter handsomely. And I think that alone would have been enough for me to go away from the game going, that wasn't a bad outcome.
Yeah. I think it may have only been 4 goals. I think it was in the end 4 goals to
No, it's
three.
five. They kicked four on the trot, but they kicked
Yeah,
five.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But all of a sudden, like we looked like, we were the ones, attacking, and they were, under a bit of pressure for once. For once,
Yeah.
it was just
Yeah.
good to see it for a few minutes. And the difference was we were getting the ball into the forward 50, I thought, getting it to the ground, and then at least we had a chance with a little
Yeah.
bit of chaos. There was a bit of something going on.
Yes, and that was the good thing too, is that the pressure that was being applied by Essendon in the third quarter in particular, I thought was very, very good against a seasoned opponent, a stronger opponent. And they really did very well to sort of match them in that respect. So I look, I mean, it's been a couple of days from that game. I think everyone's probably moved on from it and wishing that the season was sort of over. It's one match closer to being over, but for what it's worth. I think was that our 10th loss in a row? I can't remember. It was 9 or 10.
Yeah,
But and
yeah,
we're unlikely to win another one. But having said that, little signs matter, little things matter. And I tell you, Archie Roberts is no little thing. He's the real deal, and he was fantastic in that game. What did you
yeah.
think?
Oh, look, I feel like again, just we're on repeat, and probably everyone gets sick of hearing it. But everyone must have saw. I think it was on the Essendon socials. He was mic'd up at training during the week, and obviously, whenever it's still just great to see. He really
Yeah,
just sounds like a general. He's so young, but you know what I mean? He
yeah,
just kind of has that presence, and so yeah, definitely something to warm the heart. He's
yeah, yeah.
like a few weeks ago, I remember, I don't know what game, may have been against Brisbane. He made a mistake like in the first couple of minutes, loose handball, the opposition scored from it, and they really got in his face about it. But I saw that like he didn't take a backward step. And I just love that swagger about him that he's had
Yeah,
like from the get-go. Like
sure.
that hasn't been developed in him. He was born with that, and yeah, definitely seems like a future leader of the club.
He
Like
does. He
uh,
does. Yeah,
he's
he's bringing a little mongrel back to the team, which is something we haven't had for a long time. I mean,
yes, yeah,
and there's a couple of guys in that side I think are jumping on Archie Roberts's bandwagon in terms of having that nasty, and you got to
definitely,
have
definitely,
players with that. And
and yeah,
another one that really struck me. Again, not huge stats, but did a fantastic job was young Jaden Newen.
he did.
Uh, he kept. I don't. Did Stengel score? I
No,
can't remember.
I don't think he did, and
No.
he normally has an enjoyable evening against us.
Right. So his first two games, he's taken on two All-Australian forwards, small forwards in Papley and Stengel, and been come out on top. And
Yeah,
he's definitely got something. And the interesting thing about having Newen doing what he's doing is it's actually breathed some life into Andy McGrath's football because McGrath's now playing in the midfield, freed up from his normal defensive role and doing pretty well. I thought he kicked a goal, which was great and was generally, I think, far more effective in the midfield than I can ever recall him being. So,
yeah.
maybe out of all of this sort of chaos of injuries, we're starting to see some real opportunities appear for some of the guys in the team.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It was he did some good work in the midfield.
Yep.
Now, the other thing that has to be mentioned is a lot of people would be tuning in today, just waiting for you to backtrack on your call, your assessment of McMahon in terms of the
Right.
trade
Here we go.
period.
Here
So
we go.
I'm going to throw to you and just how do you want to handle that?
So here's how I'm going to handle it.
Now, can I tell you? I think I've known you a very long time. No, but you know what? Actually, no, you go ahead. You go
No,
ahead.
you're right. I was wrong.
You don't normally
That's not
do
true.
that. You normally double
No, of
down.
course not. No, well, look, let's just think about it because it actually segues nicely into something I wanted to talk about is that our forward line and look, we all know this year's been a mess, but let's just look at the list. We've got probably 6 or 7 players that are 190 centimetre plus players in the forward line,
Yeah,
injured, not injured, but let's look at it. You've got Peter Wright, of course, Nate Caddy. Then you start to look at some of the injury, Langford. who made his comeback in the reserves. We'll come to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Uh, Jones, Harry Jones.
Yeah.
Then you add in McMahon and Archer May.
Yeah.
So I'm up to six already.
Edwards. Don't forget Edwards.
Oh, Tom Edwards, of course, good get. So that's seven. So
Chockers down there. It's busy.
it is, and that's the dilemma that the club's now got is that, I don't know how, if it was banking on these mid-season draftees to do so well, but the fact is that they have really creates a selection dilemma. So I called McMahon out, but I think the reality is, and I called him out not because he's not worthy of a place in the side, it's just that
No.
he's on a 6-month contract. And so I think the players like Wright and I think Jones is contracted as well.
Yeah.
So who goes? Who's going to go?
And you were concerned by his age as well, were you not?
Oh, look, he's a little older. I think he's probably in his sort of 22, 23 sort of range. He's been in the system since
He might even
2020.
be a bit older than that, is he? I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was drafted in 21 or 20, can't be sure. But so he's probably around, 23, 24, let's say. So no, I don't think that's a big issue, but I do think the issue is where do you play these guys? When these injured players come back, the same with defence, right? So when Mackay, Ridley, Reed, Lewis Hayes, Laverde, who's been really good, I think, filling the breach for us.
Yeah.
Again, we've got to think seriously about that because it really will come into the thinking come draft time about the type of player we draft. Or are we happy that none of those guys really stack up and we just get rid of them and go to the draft and find a new key forward? So, someone perhaps to match Nate Caddy's potential. So there's a lot of really tough decisions to be made.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, the tools that have come in the mid-season draft, like Blackiston, May, and McMahon, I can't see really any justification for those guys going.
Yeah.
So that
I would
puts the
agree with
heat
that.
on, and we did touch on this last week, but
Yeah.
it does sort of put the heat on a few other players that maybe thought they were safe.
Yeah. Like I would never have seen the day where, we'd move Langford on, but maybe if we can get a decent price and if another club thinks that they can do better, yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
Probably.
Well, I think Langford will be safe, and you've got to keep some experienced guys in the
Yeah, I
team.
would have
I
thought
think
so. I would have
you
thought
do.
so.
And I think this is one of the problems that North Melbourne went through, and you can see they've tried to make up for that in their recent trade periods when they've brought in guys like Darling and Luke Parker. What's that guy that wears the helmet from the Bulldogs that went across? Caleb Daniels, is it?
Yeah, yeah,
So they've gone for some experience to try and fill the hole. Not that it's worked for them because they've had another very poor season. But yeah, you just can't throw out experienced players. I think Langford, whilst he's been very injury prone, is probably a guy that will finish his career at Essendon. But I wouldn't feel so safe for Harrison Jones.
yeah,
I think guys like Guelphy, we went through a few of these names last week.
yeah. We
Menzies,
did. Some
they're,
some
they're just
people
not going to, they're not going to make it.
some people defended Peter Wright, thinking maybe we should hang on to him.
Yeah, look, I mean, Peter Wright sort of, look, here's the problem. I think with Peter Wright, what's clear is when he's playing sort of that part-time ruck position, it really affects his goal scoring ability. When he's just playing up forward as an isolated forward, deep forward, he's a far more effective player. And in particular with his goal kicking, it almost feels like when he's playing in the ruck, he's obviously using a lot more energy. His tank is probably not as strong. And so by the time he gets a shot on goal, he's just not, he's probably feeling a bit drained and his kicking is all over the place at the moment. He's been really, really inaccurate this year compared to his normal accuracy. So I
Yeah,
think Peter Wright, if he's going to be in this team, he really has to be a permanent deep forward, and then let Caddy be the more mobile, say centre half forward that
yeah,
can run up the ground a bit more. But
I-
so much of that depends on what happens with Draper.
yeah. Well, that's right. We'll come to that. But yeah, I mean, with Peter Wright, though, to push back on that, there were 2 or 3 games earlier this year where we said the increased responsibility had actually seemed to have been positive for him. and like he was really active around the ground. He was getting busy, and I think
Yeah.
kicking one or two goals. But yeah, that seems to have dissipated now, and
Yeah. Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I think he has been pretty solid this year. I think he's done a job for us when we've needed him to do it, particularly with our ruck stocks being decimated as they have been. So, but I don't know, is he in the team as a ruckman or is he in the team as a forward? And I think that's the decision. If
yeah,
if Draper goes, Goldstein's clearly on his last leg. So let's assume that he's gone at the end of the year.
yeah.
Who's going to be our ruck? Is it Nick Bryan? Who knows? He's coming back from an ACL.
Mm,
There's so many questions around how this team's going to be not just the team, the list itself over the course of the next few months, because all of the injuries makes everything very uncertain, very unclear,
yeah,
and that's going to be playing on the particularly Matt Rose's mind is, how do we deal with this? Do we really fight hard for Draper, not knowing how he'll recover from an Achilles heel injury? Or do
yeah,
we just go, what if someone wants him, let him go? Lots
yeah.
of unanswered questions.
Yes, there are. Well covered. Now, good old Draper. So we're talking either Adelaide or Brisbane. They seem to be the main ones showing the main interest.
Yeah. So apparently Adelaide have contacted him directly. I think it was reported recently that
The coach
the
called
Adelaide coach,
mm.
what's his name? That
Nix,
guy?
Matthew Nix.
Nix,
Yeah.
Matthew Nix. What's
Mm.
his name? Don't know.
Yeah,
Him.
Matthew Nix.
Um, he's apparently rung him directly and gone, hey,
Okay.
what are you up to?
Yeah,
And so, I don't know where he'll end up, but it just feels that, yeah, reading between the lines, surely if he'd agreed to stay, they would have announced it by now. Um, who knows? But you get the feeling that he's probably going to take the option elsewhere, whether it's Adelaide or Brisbane, I wouldn't know. But I'm not against it. I think we've discussed it before.
yeah,
If it does trigger a band one compensation, I don't think anyone will question it.
yeah,
Band two, okay, that's a bit more touch and go. But
yeah,
let's be honest, Draper has not played a full season in his career at Essendon. He's had 78 games out of a possible 186, 187 if we count the weekend.
yeah,
And that's not the form you want from a guy who's going to be turning 27 in a month or so, 28 next year.
yeah.
So,
That's
yeah, I don't know. I think we'd take a nice compensation pick for him. But look, having said that, if he stayed, I wouldn't be, against that either.
no, no. I would agree with that. At the right price, I'd probably say it's worth taking the risk and seeing what we can get. But everyone, especially in the comments, that supports keeping Draper points to the first few games this year where he played, how do I put it, a bit more level-headed. He was a bit more consistent, not as many blood rushes, doing the team thing, and was making more of an impact. And so let's not forget that. But is that enough to bank on that, or was it just a little patch? But I didn't know it was that many games, such a low percentage rate that he'd played. Wow,
Yeah.
that's not a good stat.
I think he's had one season where he played 22 games. So out of his,
Yeah,
I think, 78 games or whatever the number is, nearly a third of them came in 1 year.
yeah,
So in
yeah,
every other season, he's been really inconsistent in terms of his game time.
yeah,
But
yeah,
look, back to
yeah,
your point about how he performed. No question, he was definitely an improved player at the beginning of this season. But did it help? No. I mean, we got beaten by Hawthorn and then smashed by Adelaide in the first two games.
yeah.
And then we sort of had a couple of okay wins, I think, against Melbourne and Port Adelaide.
Right, yeah.
And I think Draper was okay in those games. And then, struggled against Richmond and it's not Richmond, West Coast. And that was the game he did his ankle in. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, look, it's an argument that we can go around and around in
yeah,
circles on. Let's see,
yeah.
time will tell whether he stays or he goes. I don't think, whatever the outcome, I don't think it dramatically changes our fortunes.
Yeah, but so there's a few players in that basket that have played a low percentage of games. Ridley's one of them that we've already sort of mentioned. I think it's sort of 50%, maybe less than 50%.
Probably, yeah.
Parrish in the last few years, whilst he had an amazing run in 22. Um,
Yeah.
Gosh, since then, numbers of the amount of game time has dropped significantly. So I I mean, I always feel like it's a bit harsh because, players can't, it's not their fault they're getting injured. But
Sure.
there seems to be a view that the constantly injured players, a tough call needs to be made. And maybe it is. Maybe it's time.
Yeah, I mean, the Parish is on a long-term contract, so he doesn't have to go anywhere if he doesn't want to. But I suspect that he might. And again, I think we talked about that briefly last week. We might have. He's been linked to Geelong for many years. Maybe that's where he goes. Look,
Yeah.
but in general, do you keep rolling the dice? There's a bit of a push your luck component to this with players like Ridley, Langford, Parish, Reed,
Mm.
Draper. We just have way too many players that are kind of have shown that they are difficult to keep fit.
Yeah.
And yeah, is that just the training regime? Could it all go away with the right guy running the strength and conditioning? Maybe,
Yeah.
because Sean Murphy's been there for a while, and these problems have certainly been in the last few years. So I've
Yeah.
heard that the Bombers are going to be resurfacing both of the training ovals next before the preseason next year, or this
Oh,
coming
really?
season, at a cost of $600,000 on each oval. So there's 1.2 million of our membership fees that will be going into what I think is a good thing. Let's be
Yeah.
honest, if they hadn't done anything, we'd all be bitching and moaning about it.
Yeah.
So the Bombers have gone, look, let's leave no stone unturned. They're going to spend that money. It's a big investment on the two training ovals, completely resurface them. And I understand, and I think it was widely reported whilst the game was being played the other night, that they're going to put their hands in their pockets and send a lot of these chronically injured players to, world's best sports physicians, sports, training facilities around the world in Qatar. I don't think there's any too many shrinking violets amongst our
No, no, there isn't. We,
audience.
we, we have quite some opinionated people. On that note, quick commercial break. I do want to just say we always love the comments. I just want to ask if you can all just be nice to each other. I see things sometimes just get a little bit heated.
Oh,
Um,
really?
in the comments section. Yeah, look, it does, not often. And all I just want to say is play the ball, not the man. There's no need to say you don't know what you're talking about. Direct that
What,
stuff at
that
us.
to us?
Yes, yeah, they do, which they do, and they don't.
Oh, they're most welcome.
We can take it,
They'd be wrong.
but be nice to each other. That's all. I hate to sound like a school teacher, but I just wanted to
Jeez,
say that.
certainly do. I wasn't even aware of that. So there's a bit of fighting
Well,
going on in
no, I
the
want to
comments.
make it a place where all ideas are welcome because we all want the end result. I mean,
Well, put your argument forward better than what you have. And that's as simple as that. I mean, I'd say, let them go for it. Bring it on.
no,
A
mate.
little vigorous debate never hurt
Yes,
anybody.
I
I
know,
mean,
but but make it about the point, not about the person making the point. That's all I'm
oh,
saying.
okay.
Anyway, enough of all
So
that.
no personal slurs. All
Yes,
right.
yes,
Okay.
that's all I'm saying.
Well, that
Um,
would put me out of a job then, wouldn't it?
yeah,
Uh,
it would. You
having
you are
just picked on the nation of Qatar.
you
Uh,
exactly. Now, listen. Enough about all
yes.
that trade talk. Let's go back to the game because there were a couple of key moments. First of all, just very quickly, nice that Jeremy didn't pile on 10 goals. He kicked 4 goals, five. So
Yeah. Very
Laverde,
nice.
whoever else was chipping in there, that was a bit of a win. That was something. We'll take it. Um,
Look, can I be honest with you? I hope this is how I hope it plays out for Jeremy Cameron. I hope he's on 99 goals with a minute to go in the grand final. Geelong are trailing by 5 points. He marks 40 out directly in front. A goal, the siren blows. Geelong will win the grand final if he kicks straight. Let's just leave it at that.
right. Okay. All
You
right.
can choose. It's like one of those fantasy adventure books where you choose your own path. You can decide, does he kick it? Does he miss it? I
Yeah.
know which one I've picked.
It was yeah, so you're tipping the fairy tale moment.
Oh, fairy
Okay.
tale for a non-Geelong supporter.
Okay.
I
What
tell
about
you, I'm starting to hate that football club. I'm not sure what you think.
yeah, yes, because they just always seem to replenish their list rather than going to the bottom and doing a rebuild. They just they pull a couple of levers, introduce a couple of guys, find people like Shannon Neal, find, these Irish guys. What are these Irish guys coming off a conveyor belt? I mean, where are our Irish guys? Like, do you know what I mean? It's just
playing for
really
Brisbane.
is annoying. Yeah, well, yeah. Um,
Yeah,
so
there was one guy, he has an Irish name, but I don't think he's Irish. It's Connor someone, Connor O'Sullivan.
yeah,
I don't know. He took a big mark in the third quarter or second
yeah,
quarter.
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
were carrying on about him like he was the son of Christ.
Of course,
But
of course. Yes, that's
even I think they've got to be careful. They're all serious in being serious about this for a minute. The Jeremy Cameron missed a big opportunity. I think he kicked 4 goals, 5 against us. Yeah, he's not going to get an opposition quite as soft as us going forward. I think they play the Swans away next week.
mm,
Bit tougher up in Sydney.
yeah. So he
Geelong have
may
got.
have missed an opportunity. Now, sorry
He
that.
might have. He might have. I think he
Oh,
could have probably had 6 or 7 goals against the Bombers, and his task would have been a lot easier in the final few games. And
oh well, that's his issue. I've got a bit of a
well, it is.
I've got a
And
sniper in here.
but
What's
I
going
got to
on?
tell you, I think they're a cheating club, a bit of a cheaty club.
Oh,
I'm not going to. No, I'm just going to say, I'm just going to put it out there
you
because
know,
even Reece Stanley has his own farm. How many of these Geelong players have
yes.
been
No,
gifted farm?
no one has more acreage. It's kind of in the
Right.
playbook. You move down there.
How
Darcy
is
Parish has already
farm?
wired off 30 acres himself.
Right. But something's going on down there, I swear.
Mm. It's
I'm
all
just
about
going
how many head of cattle, sheep.
to.
It's all about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So the other thing we had to mention, Dylan Shield going to the tribunal for his little nudge. It ended up being a bit of friendly fire, and lucky that Lual wasn't more seriously injured.
Yeah, well, Lual came down to earth very awkwardly, and I think he can be damn thankful that he didn't do any real damage because that was nasty.
That was.
And thank goodness he's okay, or at least seems to be okay. He was subbed out of the game, but they did say it was for tactical reasons,
Yeah,
not for injury. But yeah, that looked really, really ugly. And yeah, Dylan Shields been sent straight to the tribunal on this one for the act for the act
yes.
of pushing the Geelong player in the back in a sort of reckless manner, and I think that's the issue here. I mean, I, the outcome he can't be suspended for injuring one of or threatening injury to one of his own players. So I think the issue here is clearly the AFL saying the act of pushing someone into a marking contest like that is now deemed to be reckless and careless behaviour that could lead to serious injury. And I think everyone agrees that that shouldn't be allowed. I mean, it's something that's from a bygone era. And yeah, we could have seen a very different outcome if
Yeah,
Lual had fallen just a little bit differently in that
yeah. That
in
was
that incident.
lucky. That was very
So
lucky. Such.
Dylan will get at least a week. But the question is if he gets any more, and I don't think he will, but it could possibly be the last time he plays for the Bombers. We'll see.
In
There's
the
two
red
games
flag.
after that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Now, I think we've only got 5 minutes left in the satellite. Again, everyone, we're still out of the studio. Hope to be back there in a few weeks. So bear with us.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure when we get back in there, but it might be after our season's over. So it
Mm.
could be, we'll do a bit of a finals run and see how that plays out.
Yes, we might do a
We run
couple of
into
episodes
the
then. But I did
trade
want to.
period.
I want to bring up with you. So this week, Melbourne said, "Enough is enough. Simon Goodwin, you must go." He delivered them a premiership after a very long drought, only what, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
But they'd had enough. They'd had a gutful.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's remarkable that you could have a guy that's won that club its first premiership in 60 years or close enough to 60 years.
Yeah.
And it's like adios. I mean, I would have thought that premiership win would have bought him more than 4 years, but clearly there's more to it. There must be more to it to let him go. And yeah, they're in a bit of a mess because half of their squad wants to get out as well. So
Yeah.
that's not good for them, but great for us if they keep losing, of course,
Yeah.
because we do have their draft pick, their first round draft pick this
Yes,
year.
I know you always watch
Um,
them closely. How are they
yeah,
going in the game today? Just quickly, they're oh yeah,
I think they're playing the
they're down
Bulldogs
against the
to
Bulldogs. Yeah, they're 15 points
right.
down. Yeah, yeah,
So, well, the Saints let one slip um, the on the weekend as well because they just, well, sorry, no, they beat Richmond, but had Richmond won,
yeah,
there's the threat that Richmond might go past us depending on percentage.
yeah.
So we might have, and it won't happen now, I don't think, but we could have finished as low as 16th, which would have given us the third pick in the draft. I think as it is, we have the fourth.
Right.
And then Melbourne, I think, has, or where they finish, would hand us the sixth pick in the draft. So 4 and 6, pretty decent choices to have. But
Yeah.
still, let's see, because if Draper does go, that might mean we might get a band one compensation, which would be pick 5
Oh,
for
would
us
it?
based on our
Yeah.
current
Okay.
position.
Okay.
So we would have 4, 5, and 6, which is, yeah, that would be a really significant bonus for Essendon if that was to happen. So that's why I'm not too fussed if Draper goes. The issue is I don't think Draper will get the first round or first band compensation, but you never know. You never
Yeah.
know. It
Yeah.
depends on what he's offered in terms of
And
his package.
And it's definitely worth you think taking them this year and not sort of trying to not banking them for next year, but just doing a deal.
Well, there's one guy that I think would be really great for us to get, and that's Willem Dersma. I think many are seeing him now as the sort of number one
I think
draft pick.
that's what I've seen. They've got everyone
Um,
number one.
So if it meant getting the number one pick from West Coast or doing a deal to get that early pick, having the extra selection because of a Draper transfer, yeah, might come home because we might be able to trade away to get pick 1 and then land Dersma. So
That'd
we'll
be
see how it plays.
nice.
I think this is really what we're all looking forward to now
Mm.
because let's be honest, there's nothing really left in the season for the Bombers.
Well, very quickly, only a minute and a half. Did you notice that the big blockbuster game between Carlton and Essendon in the final round? Of course, we've still got the Gold Coast game. This is on the Thursday night, and then we've got the Gold Coast game on the following Wednesday, which was supposed to happen round one,
Yep.
of course. But Channel of Seven have said to that match, yeah, nah, we're right, thanks. Don't need it for free to air. And they're letting it go. They're not going to show the Carlton Essendon game. Bit of
So
a
there's no
slap in the
Thursday
face.
night game at all.
Not to free to air, not on Friday.
Oh, okay.
No,
So you can
behind a
watch the
paywall.
game, but it's going to be on KO or something, is it?
Yes, that's right.
That's remarkable. I find that extraordinary because surely you're still going to get an audience with Essendon and Carlton. The
Well,
game might be shit, but there's still a big fan base on both sides.
it might be low standard, but it'll be competitive, won't it?
Yeah.
Or a bit more
Uh,
competitive. So I would have thought that's what's been lacking with a lot of these Thursday night games that have 60-point margins, 80-point margins. That's
So what are they going to put on instead?
uh, maybe some reruns of a lower low.
Yeah, well, they will outrate for sure.
Probably.
All right. I think
Okay.
we've got to
All
run.
right.
That's
I think
it. Time's
we're going
up.
to leave it at that. Thanks, everybody.